everyone. My name is Ashley Rivera. I am a career coach and I am part of the MoCo Cap initiative. I'm here today with Alexander Dishmey, and he is going to tell us a little bit about his professional background.
Thanks for having me, Ashley. My name's Alex. I'm 27 years old. I live in Massachusetts and I'm a photographer. I've been taking photos for as long as I can remember, since like maybe middle school. I'd say I became a professional photographer around like 7, 8 years ago when I finally got my own camera and just been doing it ever since.
That's awesome. Would you tell us what motivated you to pursue a career path in photography other than taking pictures since middle school?
A little thing about me, I don't like being in photos. So as I was growing up, my mom gave me the choice to either be in the photos or take the photos. So I always ended up being the one to take the photos. And from there, I grew learning more about how to use a camera. One day, someone came with a fancy camera, and I was like, hey, can I try that out? And then I realized I really knew nothing about it, but I was intrigued enough to want to learn more about it and how to use the camera and how to take great photos like that person at the time. And yeah, ever since then, it's just been nonstop learning, and I'm gonna spend my whole life learning about it. So it's been a fun experience.
That's great. What specific education or training prepared you for being a photographer?
I had no type of training, no education about it. It's been a lot of YouTube. I've had mentors along the way that have taught me what they know. A lot of it has been self-taught, YouTube, trial and error, going out taking photos of everything and anything I could find, flowers, bugs, animals, people, anything I could possibly think of. My friends on a trip to Walmart, anything. Nothing like trial and error. Education is good, absolutely good. It's good to learn always, but gotta go out and do it sometimes. That's what got me here.
Of course, education is important. You didn't technically go to school for photography, correct?
Correct. I
So can
did
you tell
not.
us a little bit about your educational background and maybe your trajectory into getting into photography?
So I went to college for engineering and studied 3 years of engineering. Didn't finish, maybe one day. I don't know. We'll see where that takes me. But yeah, I just saw that I was getting better at photography and it was something I really enjoyed and applied myself. So I just decided like I'm gonna learn as much as I possibly can, take it upon myself to learn. Yes, I understand you can go to school for photography, but it's nothing like the experience of actually doing it. But that doesn't come without having to learn all the technical things about photography, because once you learn all the technical things, it takes the experience of actually going out and doing it, it makes it a lot easier because you understand. And now instead of me shooting and going for a lucky shot, like one or two lucky shots, I can think of something in my head and know exactly how to do it on the camera.
I love that. How would you measure success in your work?
Measuring success in my work is getting to do like photo shoots that I enjoy. Being Not everything is about money. Not everything is about money. But you get to a point where you want to get paid for doing the things that you enjoy. And part of the success is being hired, for example, like being hired to shoot a style that I like to shoot. So I like to do fashion or editorial photography. And getting hired for those types of gigs lets me know, hey, these people value what I can do in this space. And I'm good enough and I've worked hard enough to get there, and these people are valuing me enough to pay me to do what I love. So that's how I'd measure it there.
What personal qualities or habits have helped you succeed or help you succeed the most in those things that you just mentioned?
I'd say attention to detail. I'm very particular about what I want in a photo, and I'm gonna make sure I get it right. The number one thing for me is, I know a lot of people say, hey, you can Photoshop it later. My number one thing is I'm gonna get it right in the camera, as close as I can to exactly what I want. And then after, if I need to, I'll Photoshop. Being being a social person has helped me network and communicate with a lot of models, of creative directors, other photographers who can help me give me some knowledge because I don't know everything. So I've gotta learn from somewhere, and I like to ask people for help when I do need it, or if I don't know something, I will find the answer no matter what the means is. It could be YouTube, it could be another photographer or whoever, but yeah, being social has definitely helped me. And it also makes my photo shoots a lot more comfortable for the models because it's not just an environment where we're just clicking and just leave. Like, I like to make sure they're comfortable because that also translates into the photos. You can tell when someone is uncomfortable, unfortunately. But yeah, that's one of the main things about my photo shoots. I like to make sure everyone's comfortable, and being social is part of that.
What are some of the things that keep you inspired and creative in your work?
I'd say some of the things that keep me inspired, I'd say just wanting to get better every time I shoot. Also seeing other people's work, that inspires me a lot. Not that I'm looking to copy anyone or anything, but it's just, okay, now, how can I get to that point where I'm able to do this thing that someone else did, and push myself to get to that point where I'm like, okay, I've conquered that. What's the next thing that I don't know how to do? And how can I make it happen? So yeah, that pushes me every day. But I will admit that sometimes there is a burnout a little bit, like writer's block a little bit, where the creative juices are not flowing. So sometimes I'll take a little break and then I'll just come back to it and right back like I never left. But yeah, just wanting to get better every time I pick up my camera. I want to be better.
Before we wrap up, I want to ask you a couple more questions about a day in a life of a photographer.
Typical day, a typical photo shoot day for me, it's a lot of communication, communicating with the model. If I'm shooting in the studio, communicating with the studio owner. If the model needs makeup, I'm talking to the makeup artist. And all these things are planned like weeks in advance. So there's a lot of back end work that I do ahead of time, coordinating the location, who's going to be the model, the concept of the photo shoot, the makeup artist, if there's going to be a stylist to get some cool clothes for the model, for the photos, figuring out what type of lighting that I want to do. All those things are all planned weeks in advance for 1 hour, 1 or 2 hours, and it all comes together. You see it all come to life, like all these different moving pieces. And sometimes I get nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you, like leading up to a photo shoot, because it's all these people coming together doing what they're good at, whether it be the makeup artist, hair, stylist, creative director. They're all doing what they're good at. And then it's up to me to deliver this final product. And I got to make sure everyone likes it. So sometimes that gets me nervous. But yeah, so yeah, the day of, I'm prepping, I'm usually like clearing out my memory cards, make sure there's storage for all the photos we're going to take that day. Like I said, communicating with everyone to make sure everyone's on time, on point, and also gathering poses for the model. That's very important. to make sure the poses are going with the concept that you're trying to execute. And then there's the actual shoot. When you get to the shoot, everything's all done, hair, makeup, model's ready to go. Then I'll have to set up the lighting, which is, it took me a long time to learn how to do studio lighting. That's a whole nother science behind that. But setting that up, that's another 10 minutes. And then the actual shooting, having to communicate with the model, what kind of facial expressions, what kind of poses, and knowing when to switch to the next outfit, keep the momentum going. Because momentum is very important. Sometimes the momentum dies down and you got to know how to keep that going. And also making sure the model feels comfortable in front of the camera. One big thing I like to do is play music. Can't go wrong with music. Music is universal. So I'll usually ask the model, hey, what kind of music you like to listen to? I'll play some of what they like and just try to have fun while we're doing it. Like I'll crack a joke or two while I'm shooting, sing along to the songs, whatever it might be, but it helps everyone relax while we're shooting because sitting in front of a camera for an hour, I can't imagine what it's like, and it sounds nerve-wracking, even though I'm the one doing this all the time. And then once we're done shooting, the breaking down of the studio, putting everything away, putting the lights back, and then once I get home, upload the photos. I send them out to the model for them to select. Once they select, that's where the hard work comes in. It's just me, the photos, one on one, and I've got to find this an infinite amount of possibilities I can go with editing a photo, and I've got to find this one way that works. And sometimes I struggle with that. I'll have to close my computer, come back to it a day later, and pick it up again another day. And it might take me a few days to edit something. But then once the model sees it and they love it, best feeling ever. Like, I know I'm gonna love what I do. But once you get like that final stamp from the person that was actually in front of the camera, because that's also important, that I want to make sure that they love how they look too, because that's a stamp in their time. I want them to be able to look back and be like, hey, like I looked amazing in front of the camera. I'm happy with these photos. Yeah, once that final stamp comes, on to the next idea.
So it sounds like there are a lot of things that most people don't realize you have to do on a regular basis. And there's more to being a photographer than just looking through a lens and pressing a single button. I like what you said earlier about all of these creative people coming together, people who are good at what they do, coming together for some sort of project, and then you being the one who wraps it all together. Wrap it and put the bow on it when you finish the final edits and present this final product to someone. I like that. I think it's really cool that you're able to do that. Can you, speaking of projects, tell us about a time where maybe you found yourself in some sort of bind or a challenge that you had to overcome, especially working with a group of people?
Yeah. So 2 years ago, one of my favorite projects I've ever done. I did a huge shoot with about 12, 13 models, three makeup artists, two creative directors, an assistant, a videographer, a drone videographer, so many people involved. And we had that all planned out. It was super hard to get everyone to agree to one date, but we finally got the date. And the day before the actual shoot, it said it was going to rain. And I was this close, so close to canceling it. But I was like, it was so hard. We planned this months in advance. I'm not letting the rain stop us. And we got there. It was so many people running behind. Makeup takes a long time. Makeup was running behind, and then people had to leave by a certain time. So just trying to coordinate that was a headache, I'm not gonna lie to you, but had to make sure I got what was needed out of these people during this certain period of time. Also, while trying to account for that it might rain in 30 minutes while we're out there. It started raining, and I asked the models, I said, hey, we're here right now. I don't know when we'll all be free again. So would you guys like to continue? And they all said yes, luckily, thankfully. So grateful to them for that. They all said yes, and we decided to tough it out and just continue shooting. And till this day, that is one of my favorite shoots. The whole day in general was just amazing, being with all those people, all those creative minds, all the models, the photos that came out, the videos, beautiful. I love it, and I would do it all over again.
That is insane. I love how one of the most challenging projects turned into one of your favorite projects to do ever. What is your dream project? Just something you haven't done before that you would love, that you would say, I could retire right now because I just did this and this has completed my entire career.
I'd say as of right now, my dream project would be shooting for, you might know this brand, Essentials or Fear of God, shooting for them just because their visuals are just so stunning. Everything feels like grandiose, like out of this world. And I want to be on sets like that, doing things like that. And it's all practical, none of it like a ton of Photoshop, like the things they're actually doing. Like I've seen the behind the scenes work that they do. They're going to these crazy locations and doing these actual things. Being able to shoot in a location like the ones that they shoot at. Their creative director, he has a brilliant mind, and I'd love to just pick his brain and be able to execute a vision for him. So yeah, I'd say that'd be my dream project.
That sounds amazing.
Thanks.
We're manifesting it.